Hey everyone, this video is sponsored by The Running Algorithm, your one-stop solution to run coaching. The Running Algorithm connects to your Strava and gives you a training plan for anything from 5K all the way to marathon. Now, you know that your schedule can change. You may end up needing to skip a session, or you may just end up running with a friend and potentially doing a little bit extra. Well, the Running Algorithm will adapt and adjust your plan so you continue to stay consistent and progressing towards your PB. So please head over to www.therunningalgorithm.com and use code HARRYPALMER, all capitals, to receive a free 3-month extended trial while the team at The Running Algorithm continue to add some really exciting features. So thanks so much to the team at The Running Algorithm for sponsoring this video. Thanks so much to you guys for continuing to support the channel. And without any further ado, let's crack on with the video.
Ironman Leeds, UK,
Let's go, Harry! Go, Harry! 20 seconds! To Kieran. 4 to Kieran. Well done, Harry. You're really strong. Happy? Good.
Third place at Ironman Leeds. Wow, what an experience, what an amazing day. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed because I'm just so happy that I've managed to put together a good performance at the full distance. For any long-term supporters, you'll know that this has been a bit of my Achilles heel, is kind of completing this distance. And managing to do it in a way that I'm competitive in the race, and I feel like that's what I did on the weekend. And so yeah, it's really cool for me to be able to be in that position where I feel like there's obviously a big room for improvement still, which is really exciting, but I also feel like I've proved to myself and I've proved to a lot of others that I can do it and it is possible. I just in the past have made silly mistakes, not prepped appropriately, not really known how to approach the race, and I feel like Ironman Leeds gave me the best possible race for me to do that because of the style of course and because of the athletes that were there. It gave me the option to just really focus on my own race and really prove what I'm sort of capable of, I guess. It is slightly depressing to see Sam Laidlow having to wait nearly 20 minutes for me to finish. That is, yeah, it's pretty crazy. He could have literally had a 5-course meal between him finishing and me finishing, but it is what it is. And Nathan, who came second, yeah, absolutely ripped it. And everyone else on the start line, really, really cool to be racing them. So yeah, I figured we'd go through a little race debrief, go through how the day went from my perspective. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much to everyone who was out there in person. The support was incredible from people. It was absolutely amazing. And the support from everyone online on social media has been just second to none. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. So it was an early start, 6 o'clock. Who decides to start a race at 6 in the morning? That's early. So it was like a 3 a.m. wake up, which I'll be honest, when my alarm went off, it's like, oh God, today's the day. So managed to sneak in a little bit of breakfast, but at that time in the morning, it's never enjoyable. Got down to the swim start. Everything was going pretty smoothly. It was a wetsuit swim, but it was pretty high temperatures. So I saw Laidlow wearing a sleeveless wetsuit, so I kind of was aware that it was quite warm. and he probably just wanted to keep himself a bit cooler, and obviously being the caliber of athlete that he is, he doesn't really need to have the benefit of a wetsuit anyway. So we get in, do a bit of a warm up, and yeah, feel absolutely fine. We then get asked into the water maybe 90 seconds before the start, and there's not a crazy amount of us on the start line. I think there's 15, so we've all got like a good amount of space. I knew there were some very good swimmers in this race. You've obviously got Laidlow, you've got the likes of Kieran Linders, Josh Lewis. I knew there was a couple of French lads that were decent swimmers, don't know their names. Obviously Nathan, who came second, absolutely smashed it, so he's a good swimmer. And then you've got some other like solid swimmers as well. I would say like I'm not the caliber of athlete or swimmer of the guys that I've mentioned, but I'm sort of similar to a lot of the other guys there as well. So yeah, I knew that I was going to kind of fill the gaps a little bit, but I was hoping that I'd still maintain contact with that front group. So anyway, we start the swim, and it starts off fairly hard, and we're kind of a little bit argy-bargy, and I'm getting a little bit frustrated by a few guys around me just because it is what it is. You just end up getting frustrated, I think. And so we end up kind of stringing along in a line, and I think I don't know whose feet I'm on, but I know I'm a few people behind Josh Lewis, so I figured I was in a fairly good position. I was maybe 7th guy back, and we're absolutely fine. We're going around pretty well, and then towards the end of the first lap, that's when Laidlow puts in a massive dig and gets on the front and absolutely drills it. Unfortunately, I was the wrong side of someone to actually respond to that, and potentially I wouldn't have the fitness to respond anyway, but I was the wrong side of someone. They didn't respond, and it meant that when I eventually noticed and went around, everyone had sort of already buggered off. So it was like Laidlow, Kieran, Josh, I think there were a few others as well in that group. So that was a little bit annoying, but I was also like, it's a long day. I don't want to race the swim like a 70.3. I just want to kind of, and the swim was hard, but it wasn't crazy tough. It was just like a consistent hard effort. So anyway, I end up doing the rest of the swim with sort of like Matt Collins and a few other guys, get out into T1, and yeah, feel kind of okay. Like I'm starting to cramp up in my quads a little bit. So whether I was kicking too much in the water, I don't really know what was going on. Maybe I was sweating too much because it was quite warm. So yeah, I started cramping up a little bit early on the bike, but I just kind of spun the legs, and that seemed to free everything up a little bit. Early on the bike, I knew there was a no overtaking zone, so I wanted to get ahead of all the guys that were sort of just in front of me, so that I could have free reign to dictate my own way through this no overtaking zone rather than being stuck behind people. So that's what I did. I put in a bit of a dig early on. I mean, it's literally in the first couple of K, and then I was kind of on my own, essentially between two groups. So the group that I just moved away from, and obviously the group up the road that included Josh, Kieran, Nathan and Sam. I didn't know at that point that, I was fairly confident that Sam would just bugger off, which he did. I didn't know about Nathan though until we got to the first out and back. So fairly early on the bike, there is an out and back section, and I saw that Sam had already completely ridden away. And to be honest, I'm not in this race to race Sam. I know I'm not the level of athlete that he is. So I knew he was going to bugger off. I knew that he just needed to validate. So essentially, it's forget about Sam. He's going to do his own thing. There's nothing I can do. You're racing kind of those other guys there, like Nathan, Josh, Kieran, those kind of guys, and any guys behind who are going to have like a really good day, because there was also potential for guys behind to really be having an absolute storm of a day and come through. Now, this style of bike course doesn't really lend you towards riding in a group, I don't think anyway, because it's so punchy and it's so twisty, and the road surfaces are so shit, and there's a lot of age groupers because we're doing 3 laps. I actually don't think there's much benefit at all. If anything, I think your advantage is actually riding on your own, because you can ride your own pace, you can stay consistent, you can stay on top of the gears, you can maintain momentum in areas where otherwise, if you're with a group, you may have to brake, you may have to sit up and relax and all of that. So I actually didn't have much urgency to catch Josh and Kieran, because I was like, what would I do? If I catch them, then I'm almost being detrimental to myself. So I'll just ride to my own numbers. And when I catch them, because I was fairly confident I would catch them, but I was like, I'm not going to put pressure on it. If I catch them in the first lap, cool. If I catch them in the second lap, cool. If I catch them in the third lap, cool. It doesn't really matter to me. So I was just riding to my own numbers, which was cool. And so I end up catching them, I think, towards the back end of the first lap. And they're riding pretty well together. And then as I catch them, I think I hit a pothole and my chain comes off and I can't get it back on while I'm riding. So I've literally just caught them. I then need to stop, literally unclip, stop at the side of the road, put my chain back on. I'm at the bottom of the hill now, so I need to flick through the gears to get into an easier gear, get up. So it's obviously a little bit frustrating. So I was like, right, I've closed 45 seconds. I've probably just lost 45 seconds. So I'm in exactly the same position again, but I didn't let that get to me. I was like, well, just gonna have to close the gap again. So then continued to try and close the gap on the second lap, which I did. So I got to the guys, and we each pulled a fair few turns. I think it was pretty honest from myself, Kieran, and Josh. We were all riding, we were riding pretty well together. That Black Hill Road, I've got to be honest, I did not enjoy that. And Kieran and Josh were definitely riding better up that hill than me. So I don't know if maybe I'm just really not very good at riding up hills, or B, whether my setup, I was just carrying way more fluid than I needed and I was extra heavy. I don't know, but or maybe I was just being a pussy. It could have been that. But essentially, those guys were riding up the hills way better than I was. But anyway, we kind of ride pretty well together, and in my head, I knew on the bike that if I have the race that I'm capable of, I feel like I'm fairly certain I can outrun Josh. Now, there's no guarantee, because Josh is a really, really bloody good athlete and he could have a great day. And there's also no guarantee that I have a good day and I have a good run, because I've never proved myself at this distance. But I was fairly confident if I raced within myself and I continued to have a good day, I could outrun Josh. I didn't think that with Kieran. In my head, I was like, Kieran is far more experienced at this distance than me, and he's actually an insanely good runner. I feel like at 70.3 distance, I would be fairly confident coming off the bike with him and being able to outrun him. At Ironman distance, I was not confident at all. If anything, I was the opposite. I was like, Kieran will outrun me because he's so experienced at this distance. So I would quite like to come into T2 with a little bit of a buffer between myself and Kieran. And I didn't mind if I didn't have one with Josh, but I was like, I kind of want to get rid of Kieran on the bike, as brutal as that sounds. I was like, for myself and for my own benefit, kind of need to drop Kieran. And so that was sort of my goal going into the sort of second half of the second lap, and into the third lap. That was sort of my thought process. Because the roads were so bloody bumpy, my Garmin actually on the second half of the second lap actually ended up flying off. So it popped off and I managed to catch it midair, which, I mean, I was pretty impressed by. But then I had nowhere to put it because it was the screw behind the Garmin mount that came off. So I essentially caught it and had to chuck it down my front of my tri-suit. So I was like, okay, so for the next 90k of this bike course, I don't have numbers, but it is what it is. And if anything, I actually think that was a bit of a blessing in disguise, because I then just wasn't worried about the numbers. I was like, well, I'm just going to ride as hard as I can, or the intensity that I feel is appropriate for me. So anyway, get onto the third lap, and it is quite busy with age groupers. I will be completely honest. Like, riding in between the age groupers was quite sketchy, and I'm sure for them, they felt like it was quite sketchy for us riding between them as well. So I think across the board, it was pretty dangerous on those lap sections and on those out and back bits. But I knew that I kind of wanted to get rid of Kieran, so I needed to be a bit sneaky between people and put in a few digs here or there. On the first out and back section on the last lap, I saw that Kieran was back a little bit. It wasn't too much, but it was a little bit, and I was like, right, solidify this, get to work. So I really started to work, and I was like, if I can drop Josh at the same time, perfection. That is literally perfection. So I went to town for the next 10-ish minutes, 15 minutes, just really like making sure I'm carrying as much momentum around these corners and up these climbs as I possibly can. I then get to a sharp corner, look around, and Josh is right there. So I was a little bit disheartened. I was like, oh man, I feel like I've worked so hard. I'm like 120k in. I feel like I've worked so hard to get rid of you guys, and you're right there. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. And then Josh comes through, because I thought Kieran would have been there as well. Josh comes through and he's like, I think we've dropped Kieran. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like, it's not all been for nothing. Like, thank God. So Josh got on the front and I was like, mate, just keep the chain tight. And he was going really well. So, yeah, I was really happy that we actually managed to get rid of Kieran. But obviously, the caliber of athlete that he is, I didn't want to allow any kind of slack from myself and Josh to let him get back on and maintain contact. So I knew that we needed to really like break the elastic. And that's what we did. We worked really well together. We navigated through the bike course pretty well. Yeah, lots of age groupers, lots of potholes, lots of stuff going on. But I do have to say the support out there was fantastic because there were so many laps. It was really cool to see people quite a few times. And yeah, so that was really exciting. It was slightly depressing that, so my coach, Rob, was there and he was holding up a whiteboard that had the gap between myself and Josh and the guys in front. And yeah, when you see 10 minutes to Laidlow on the second lap, you're like, oh yeah, okay, it's not gone so well. And then like 5 minutes to Nathan, I'm like, oh God, that's not good. But I kind of thought that if, I felt like I raced as hard as I could. And I was like, well, either Nathan's going to have an amazing day and he's going to podium. And if he does, bloody well, fair play to him, he deserves it. But if he's gone too hard, and he could have gone too hard, if he ends up walking on the marathon and I don't, then I could catch him. Like 5 minutes, even 10 minutes to be honest, to someone who's walking a bit of the marathon is actually like, it comes down quite quickly. So I was like, it's still all to race for. Even though I know Nathan's like 5-6 minutes ahead of me, it is all to race for because he could completely blow and I could catch him. So that was my mindset. Coming into T2, I was with Josh. Josh ended up actually dropping me on the last climb, which again, I just had nothing left. I was absolutely nothing left in the tank. And then I managed to catch him on the rolling section back into T2. And actually it was really nice because Josh and I ended up running literally 20k together. And that was like, it was really cool actually. It was real nice because I think it held us both accountable. I was apprehensive because I was like, I've not really raced this sort of distance before. Like I've always ended up butchering it. So I wanted to make sure I was doing it properly. And it was just nice, like we were just chatting, we were chilled, it was really cool. And I was just making sure that I was navigating the aid stations as best I could, fueling as much as I could, and not going too hard. My goal, I thought, so it's a hilly run, but I figured if I can hold 4-minute Ks average, that's great. Sub 250 marathon on this course, I feel is really good. And that's essentially what I did. And so, yeah, at 18k, I had a little bit of a wobble. And that's when I was still with Josh. I was like, ooh, you know what? Josh could beat me here. That's not so good. And at that time, we knew that we'd already put in, I think it was 5 or 6 minutes to Kieran. So I was really happy that we put 5-6 minutes into Kieran coming into T2. That was really cool. However, we were both saying to each other, like myself and Josh, we were like, Kieran's such a good athlete, he could come back and we could end up walking, so we need to keep each other honest, we need to keep each other motivated. We were also both like, well, Laidlow needs to validate, so he's not going to take a slot, so that means there's 3 slots. Let's say Nathan doesn't end up walking and he takes it, that's then me and Josh get a slot if Kieran doesn't catch us, and me and Josh were literally like, God, we just want to help each other to get to the finish line and get our slots to Nice because that would be really, really cool. So that was our motivation. And I think, 18, 19k, I had a bit of a wobble. I felt a bit rubbish. And so I just scranned off quite a lot of gel. And suddenly I felt really good. At about 23k, I was like, yeah, I feel good. And it was, I don't know if it was an actual effort that I put in or a bit of a dig, or, I mean, maybe Josh will have a different sort of insight and opinion on this. I don't feel like I necessarily put in a dig, or it wasn't like a conscious effort. Maybe I did pick up the pace a little bit, and I maybe did. I wasn't thinking too much about it. I was just kind of feeling good. And so dropped Josh a little bit, but it was like a slow, it wasn't like a, oh yeah, I'm going to drop him straight away. It was just a slow pull away. And And from 23k to 28k felt fantastic, actually, felt really, really good. Then I got to 28k and I was like, ah, shit, I've made a mistake. I feel really rubbish now, like really rubbish. I was like, my legs are hurting and I've still got, like 14k left. I'm like, oh no, that's not good. And I could see Nathan was still running really well. And I was like, that was my motivation was obviously, don't get caught from Kieran behind, but try and catch Nathan. And if he starts walking, I will probably catch him. He's about 5 minutes ahead. And so that was my whole motivation. The last lap, I cannot explain to you how much my legs were hurting. I mean, like, I thought I knew what pain felt like in my legs from, say, 70.3s. This is a whole different ballgame. I feel like I've opened up another level of pain threshold for myself because I can't tell you how much it hurt. My legs felt like concrete. It felt like I was, oh my God, it was disgusting. I hated it so much. It was so horrible. So thanks everyone for the support out there for keeping me going because bloody hell, I wanted to walk. But I was like, I knew if I walk, I won't start running again. So I have to keep running. Even Leon said to me before the race, he's like, if you have to walk an aid station. But I even said to myself, it's like, if I walk an aid station, I won't get running again. So I just have to keep going. So it was absolutely brutal. And the last lap, essentially, I was like, yeah, if I catch Nathan, great. But I need to hold off what was going on behind. And at that point, I didn't know that Kieran was really hunting down Josh. I was hoping that Josh would kind of be able to hold him off. Not that I didn't want Kieran to get the slot. I have the utmost respect for Kieran, but it was the fact that Josh and I had run 20k together and we were like, come on guys, come on, let's keep it going. And so I get within the final few K, and even at that point, I'm like, I don't know if I've got on the podium because anything can happen. I mean, I could literally pass out right now, and it felt like I needed to. So yeah, I then noticed that on the last kind of out and back section that Kieran had got Josh, and I was like, oh man, I felt really bad for Josh at that point because he'd worked really bloody hard for that. And of course, Kieran worked very bloody hard for it as well, so he deserves it as well. But yeah, it was one of those. So I was like, well, Kieran's running really incredibly well. I just need to hold him off. I'm not going to catch Nathan. He didn't blow at all. And you know what? Fair play to the guy. He paced that to perfection and absolutely deserves it. I mean, he absolutely ripped it. So fair play to the guy. What an absolute weapon. And coming down that red carpet, yeah, crazy emotions, honestly. Felt insane. Felt like I was going to fall over. And like I said, racing the likes of Laidlow is just insane. And I guess I just have to apologise to him for having to make him wait 20 minutes for me to finish. Because I can imagine he's got better things to do than wait for me. But yeah, it was pretty surreal standing on the podium with him. And you never know. Maybe one day I'll get a little bit closer to the front and I will try and make him at least feel like he needs to race it rather than just jog it round. But no, that felt fantastic, felt epic. And that was actually my first doping control as well after the race. I've never been never had doping control before, so went there, and because I'd weed myself so much on the run, I didn't need a wee. I was in doping control essentially for 2 hours waiting for me to wee. So whoever it was, the chap who was doing the doping testing and the control, I do apologise making you wait for 2 hours because he definitely had better things to do as well. So yeah, apologies for that. Just waiting for me to wee in a cup and look at my so anyway, we'll stop talking about that. But yeah, so there we go, and I accepted my Nice slot. So it's, I believe, the last weekend that you could qualify for Nice. So essentially, I've got a pretty crazy few weeks now. So I've qualified for the Nice World Champs. Now, by no means do I expect to be competitive at World Champs. I'd like to go for the experience, of course. I want to experience the World Champs at a full distance. But of course, from my period of just racing, essentially I've lost fitness as I've continued to race. So I kind of peaked fitness-wise in Swansea, and now gradually I've been just getting more and more unfit. Essentially just with the tapering and recovery, I haven't really done a full training week for quite a long time. So essentially I'm due some training to get me as fit as possible for World Champs. However, before that, I do have my T100 wild card for London next weekend, which is super, super exciting. So again, with T100, because it wasn't planned and because I haven't really haven't focused on it, and because I've been like kind of dropping fitness essentially, that's also a go for experience. Really enjoy it. Try not to come stone dead last and essentially just try and enjoy it and just see what it's like and give the distance a go, essentially. So I'm going to be doing that next weekend. I potentially may have a wild card for the French Riviera race. I don't actually know. It hasn't been guaranteed yet. I've seen my name on a start list somewhere, but nothing's been guaranteed, so I don't actually know. So that may be quite cool. Another wild card would be amazing. And that would be 2 weeks before World Champs. So potentially the next few weeks is pretty hectic with racing. I'm trying to get my ass back in gear for training, but obviously the week after an Ironman, I cannot tell you how sore I am. It's Thursday now, and my legs are still very, very sore. So I'm hoping by the weekend I will be able to do some sort of structured training, because up until now I've just been going easy, and that's all I'm able to do. So yeah, we'll see. But things have been pretty crazy, and and with all of that going on in the background, I've been trying to buy a house as well, and I should have moved in by now, but my solicitor is completely useless, and we aren't moving in. But essentially, we should be moving in next week. So I've got the T100, moving house, just done Leeds, potentially French Riviera, Ironman World Champs. Pretty crazy time, but super, super exciting. And yeah, I'm just going to take every day as it comes, take everything in my stride, really look to enjoy everything, and just kind of embrace every single opportunity that I get, because it is an opportunity. Like this World Champs is just like, it's just going to be going, you know what, if I race really well, I could potentially race really well and it'd be amazing. Or I could come stone dead last, and even so, it would continue to be amazing. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. The stress levels are fairly high with everything going on in the background. Like I mentioned, the house move is pretty chaotic, but I feel like I've navigated it fairly well, managing to get some good results while that's kind of bubbling away in the background. And I just want to say thank you so, so much again to everyone who's supporting on the channel, in person, all my sponsors who, without them, I wouldn't be in this position, family members, friends, coaches, everyone who helps support me, because it's not just like, yeah, I'm the guy who gets to cross the line, which is really cool, but without everyone in the support network behind me, I would not be in this position. So I appreciate that. I'm incredibly lucky, and I've got an amazing support network behind me. And so thank you so, so much to every single one of you. I really do appreciate it. I will try and get some really good kind of documentation of T100. I think that'll be really exciting. If any of you are racing, best of luck. If you're supporting, please shout some abuse at me, because I will need all the support I can get. And I guess I will see you in the next video.